Early in 2024, the government approved a gas-fired electricity power station called Net Zero Teesside with carbon capture and storage. We brought a legal challenge which was heard at the High Court last July. It was rejected, but now we are appealing.
There's nothing wrong with the idea of capturing emissions from existing industry, but that's not what these plans are about. They're about building a huge wave of new fossil gas infrastructure.
The government is putting carbon capture and storage on top of gas-fired power stations, and that is absolutely not the way we need to go.
When you talk to engineers that will advocate for carbon capture, they're only talking about what happens at the power plants. They're not talking about what happens before that. They're not talking about what happens after that. So before that, the supply chain emissions that are associated with the gas that's being burnt are absolutely immense, and carbon capture can't deal with that.
Because the gas leaks through the production system, and this gas is a really strong greenhouse gas forcer, so it increases the temperatures much higher than carbon, for example.
The emissions from all these upstream leaks and the energy used to get it across the UK adds up to 2/3 of its overall impact, as Paul said. Only 1/3 of the emissions are happening at the plant.
Because let's remember that a lot of the gas that we would be using for this would be in the form of liquefied natural gas, which is very polluting and often comes from the US.
What we've seen over the last few years is that the oil and gas companies are trying to find all sorts of ways to perpetuate their investments in oil and gas. They're trying to delay the point at which we exit the world of fossil fuels.
So before the government committed £20 billion of public money to carbon capture and storage projects on the 4th of October, the only meetings they had about carbon capture were with fossil fuel industry interests.
When we look at the proposals here, they're incredibly expensive. About 3/4 of the cost of this, which remember is one of the worst climate actions we can take, falls on energy levies. And so it increases the prices that consumers are going to face.
The big energy companies are looking for every and any possible way to defend the status quo. For decades, they've been protected by an energy system designed to line the pockets of shareholders by keeping the oil and gas pumps profiting. It's not fair that because of a broken energy system, your bills are through the roof.
So Andrew's challenging the government on the first of these new carbon capture plants, Net Zero Teesside, but it's the first of many. And if Andrew's successful, it will set a precedent and force the government to reconsider these ludicrous plans and actually listen to the scientists.
What should happen with this carbon capture budget is, yes, that should be scrapped. Scrap carbon capture if it's got anything to do with using natural gas, and it does in the cluster model that the government have. So write to your MP and demand that the government scrap carbon capture and storage and put the money into insulation and genuinely green energy.